Hey guys, welcome back. Day 4, lesson number 7 of online VBS here with RBM Ministries. Hey, it is great to have you back today. Before we go too far, I just want to dive into our verse for the week for a second. Our verse for the week is Romans 8:28, and it says, "We know that in all things God works together for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." As we dive deeper into that verse, as we look at that verse today, we want to look at the thought of those who love Him. You know, we think about love, and we throw that word around a lot. I mean, I love tacos. I love pizza. You guys might love video games, or Barbies, or your iPhone. These are different things that you're going to say you love. But we know that's a different kind of love than what we talk about if we say we love our parents, or we love our family, or we love God. So we got to really take a second and think about what it means to love God. You know, when we say we love God, that means we seek Him before everything else. That means we want to be with Him. We want to have a relationship with Him. We care for Him. That's what we've got to make sure we're getting at when we say we love God, when we think about that. So that's what I encourage you guys with. For those who care about God, those who love God, those who have that relationship with God, that's those who love Him, those that seek after Him. You know, a funny thing, when I wanted to marry my wife, you know, I would go out of my way to do extra things for her. And even now, I go out of my way to do extra things for my wife because I love her. I know it makes her happy. I know she likes things, so I'll do those certain things. She likes it when I can take care of some of the phone calls so she doesn't have to make them. You know, I might not like doing it, but I do it because it makes her happy. And when we love God, we're going to make sure we're doing the things that make Him happy, that we're doing the things that He would have us to do. So I want to encourage you guys, remember our verse for the week, Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works together for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. And that verse is perfect verse for the week for our VBS this year. Discovering God's plan for you. You know, God has a plan. He has a plan for you. As we've been discovering God's plan, we've seen different things take place in the life of Joseph. We've seen different things take place in the life of Jesus. And even in our own lives, we've had different things that take place where it kind of looks like, this plan might not be working too well. But you know, I've told you every day something that I've had planned that hasn't gone right, you know. So as we get back to that, have you ever had something happen and not go as planned? And we can all say yes, right? We all have those things. As I thought about a different story to share with you guys for today, as I thought about stuff like that, I was actually thinking about something that just happened recently. We just recently were able to buy a hot tub from one of our friends, and we got it to the house after a lot of work. We started putting it up on the new deck, and we got stuck. Literally, it is just sitting on the deck in the back on the back of a trailer, just kind of stuck there. And we couldn't get it any farther. You know, my plan was going to be simple. We had some strong guys. We were going to take it. We were going to spin it right on the deck, set it right into place, and everything would be easy. But we spent like an hour and a half, and we finally gave up. We couldn't lift it. We actually had to call and have somebody with a backhoe come over and pick it up and move it for us. You see, my plan didn't work. But here's the good news. God's plan always works. We're going to see that in our stories today. We're going to see that, you know, Joseph, not in the best place. We've seen that most of the days this week with Joseph. We've seen Jesus yesterday. He got crucified. It kind of looks like the plan's gone way off track. You know what? That happens with my plans, but not with God's plan. God has a plan for you, and it's going to work out. Before we go any farther, let's sing our Romans 8:28 song. Romans 8:28. Let me hear you sing it.
And we know that in all things God works for the good. And we know that in all things God works for the good. And we know that in all things God works for the good. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, those who love Him, those who love Him, love Him, love Him. love him, who have been called according to his purpose, according to his purpose, who have been called according to his purpose, according to his purpose, who have been called according to his purpose, according to his purpose, who have been called according to his purpose, according to his purpose. We know that in all things God works for the good, and we know that in all things God works for the good, and we know that in all things God works for the good, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, those who love him, those who love him, love him, love him.
All right, good singing. When we come back for the next session, we're going to be singing the B-I-B-L-E song. So you guys are warmed up now. You'll be even better for the next session. But think about it. We've been going through the life of Joseph in our first lesson of the day. This is our Joseph lesson. So far this week, as we've looked at Joseph, we've seen a number of things take place with Joseph. We've seen that Joseph was not liked by his brothers. He was hated by him. His dad gave him the coat that made him even more jealous. He had those dreams. Didn't work out so well for him. They beat him. They threw him in a pit. But instead of killing him, they sold him. So he gets sold as a slave. He ends up in Potiphar's house. And Potiphar put him in charge of everything except for Potiphar's wife, of course. Then we see that Potiphar's wife lied about Joseph, and Joseph went to jail. But even in jail, he became in charge of everything. That's what we see with Joseph there. So we have this taking place with Joseph. We see the different things with Joseph that have taken place. But we see that he's in jail. And while he's in jail, he meets the cupbearer and the baker. He interprets their dreams. We know that the predictions came true. And he told the baker as his dream came true, hey, remember me. So here we continue on in our story of Joseph. We are going to be in Genesis chapter 41 today. We'll go a little ways in Genesis 41. So if you have your Bible in front of you, you can open that up to Genesis 41. I misspoke before. The baker's dream did come true, and he was actually killed. It was the cupbearer whose dream came true, and he was restored. And Joseph said, remember me, to the cupbearer. But here's what it says. That it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by a river. Suddenly there came out of the river 7 cows, fine looking and fat, and they fed in a meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, and ugly and gaunt, and stood by the river, the cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 fine-looking fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. So here we are, 2 years later. Joseph's been in prison for 2 more years. Can you believe it? Can you just imagine him sitting there? What's going to happen next? I interpret the dreams. I did this, I did that. And here I am, stuck in prison still. 2 years. It's been a long time for Joseph to be in prison. But we see dreams coming a part of this again. We saw Joseph had dreams. We saw the baker and the cupbearer have dreams. Now we see that Pharaoh is having a dream. And he has this first dream. And it kind of spooks him. There's 7 fat, plump, good-looking cows that come out of the river. Then there's 7 skinny, ugly cows that come out of the river. And the skinny cows eat the fat cows. I don't know about you, but that sounds really disgusting. Pharaoh's dreams didn't stop there. He wakes up, he's trying to figure it out, but it says he has another dream. It says, he slept and dreamed a second time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain come up upon the stalk, plump and good. And then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. So he has a second dream. 7 good ears of corn, and 7 bad ears of corn. And they eat the good ears of corn. Man, I don't know what these people back then were eating before bed. But here's what happens. They have these dreams. Joseph was able to interpret it for the cupbearer and for the baker. But Pharaoh has his own people. So he sent out to his people and said, come, tell me what my dreams mean. And they came. But they couldn't tell him what his dreams meant. They came and they tried to tell him, but they had no clue. Then all of a sudden, the cupbearer remembers. And he says, Pharaoh, when I was in prison, there was this man. He told me what my dream meant. Well, let's send for him. So they sent for Joseph. And it's an amazing thing. The Bible tells us that when they sent for Joseph, he didn't just go running right away and say, yes, now's my time. They cleaned him up. They got him ready to look like he should before he came into the presence of the Pharaoh. So he's clean shaven. He's looking good. And he comes to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh says, hey, I hear you can tell me what my dream is. Now this is a perfect opportunity for Joseph to get out of prison, to demand whatever he wants, right? But, Pharaoh, I can tell you your dream, but you have to give me $1 million first. Pharaoh, I can tell you my dream, but I want a new sports car. Pharaoh, I can probably tell you my dream, but have you seen those new Bluetooth headphones? He could have did all that, but you know what he said? He said, well, I can't tell you your dream, but God can. He didn't take credit for himself. He was humble when he came before them, before Pharaoh, and he says, I can't do it, but God can do it. Notice what Pharaoh does. Pharaoh goes ahead, and he tells him his dream. He doesn't hesitate. Pharaoh tells him the dream. It's not like he said, get this man out of here. He's worthless to me. He went ahead and told Joseph the dream. Then Joseph went ahead and told him what the dream meant. He said, these dreams mean that the land, you're going to have 7 years of unbelievable harvest. Way more than you've ever had. But then you're going to have 7 years of famine with no harvest. God has said it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then Joseph went on to give him some advice. Joseph says, you know what you need to do? You need to pick a man to become kind of like a prime minister. Somebody to oversee the harvest for those 7 years. And they could save up 20% of that harvest of those 7 years to take care of the 7 years without good harvest. We could store it in a place. You could pick this man, a wise man, a man who's decent, who you can trust, that you can put in this position. Once again, a great time for Joseph to try to make himself sound great. Hey, since I told you your dream, you should probably give me this job. But Joseph never did that. He was humble in all of this. But out of his humbleness, he was honored because Pharaoh chose him to be the prime minister. He once again becomes power. He becomes second in the land again. That's where we're going to leave off with the Joseph story today. We're going to dive back in our next Joseph lesson tomorrow and see what happens next. But think about this. Joseph is being used by God. Even though there's obstacles that come in his way. Even though there's times where things don't look good. Even though he's been beaten, thrown in a pit, thrown in jail, forgotten about. God still had a plan for him. And is still using him. And once again, Joseph is the second in command. Remember our verse, Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, good or bad, God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose.